Hello, and welcome to Telling Tales. Here we tell atmospheric stories together through the medium of tabletop role-playing games. It's Monday night, which for tonight and potentially ever more means that we are playing the Masks of Nyarlathotep. This is the third session. We'll go through what's happened so far in a moment, but first we'll do promo stuff. So below the stream, if you're watching on Twitch, is a link to our YouTube, or if you're watching on YouTube, a link to our Twitch. Give us a follow on both. And also our social media, our Discord, which you should join and come and chat with us and the other lovely people involved in the channel. And our Patreon, where if you like what we do, you can support us in exchange for rewards, which will you can see all about on the Patreon. We've got a couple of different tiers on there. Other things that we do on the channel, usually we do Simba Room on a Wednesday. That's on hold for the moment, but we'll be back at some point in the future. This coming Thursday, the third episode of our pre-recorded Delta Green game, which Steve, who will be playing this evening, ran for us. That will be streamed, with the fourth episode to then come, I think, 2 weeks later. But so yeah, the next thing is that on Thursday, and then I think the next thing after that is us being back in 2 weeks, because we are not on next week. So that's it for the moment, but do get us on social media and join our Discord to get those updates. So the story so far, the group have headed to Peru individually, apart from two characters who arrived together. That sounds really spooky and ominous potentially, but they are a married couple, so probably reasonably normal and potentially fiscally makes more sense for them to travel together. And met the person who had put an advert out for them to go on an expedition to a relatively unknown pyramid in Peru. They met, and another man was there who was to be going on the expedition, who gave two names, Jesse Hughes, and Jesse Hughes was what he called himself to everyone. And then once the person in charge of the expedition and his assistant headed out, he introduced himself as Elias Jackson to the rest of the group. And cast some aspersions around Augustus Larkin, the person in charge of the expedition, and Luis de Mendoza, his assistant. The next day, most of the group travelled with Jackson to the university to speak to a Professor Sanchez. The group found out that he had been on numerous occasions rebuffed or completely ignored when requesting to join the expedition with Larkin, in spite of the fact that he could think of nobody better that would make more sense to attend on this expedition as an expert in this kind of thing. Some of the group then went to go and try and have a word with Trinidad Rizzo, who was Professor Sanchez's assistant, and was looking into some things related to or potentially related to the expedition in the library/storeroom. The investigators then found Rizzo dead and looking almost mummified and terribly gaunt. And also found a large piece of worked gold with some sort of kind of inscriptions on, but not anything that really made any sense to anyone. And then Professor Sanchez was found in his office, writhing in agony, and the group noticed something moving around in his body, and with a medicine skill of 1, attempted to try and remove this from Professor Sanchez's body, which didn't work. And Elias Jackson then ran and got some members of the university staff. And the end of the session was Professor Sanchez being wheeled out on a gurney from his office. Now I'm going to roll randomly to see who is coming on. So Inga can't join us tonight, so yeah, she won't get to tell us how Martin feels about the fact that he was sitting in a hotel room with a medical skill while all of this was going on. Okay, that is going to be Jack, who plays Theodore Ted Hobbs. Hey, Jack. How's Ted?
Hey, Jonny.
Wallace at the moment?
A little bit.
Well, tell us a bit about Ted first. Sorry, just a really quick recap of Ted.
Ted is a photojournalist from the Nottingham area who has found his way on this expedition in order to obviously get material and photos and stuff in order to write a series of articles and try and break his way into the more national newspapers. So he's already got, good photo of the group together. Probably not as good a photo of the dead body they found. It was a golden bar, wasn't it? Was it scepter bar thing? Yeah. And then, encouraged. Has encouraged someone to stab at someone already, but in a medical capacity. The stabbing was so. But yeah, I think he's a little bit unnerved by the fact that someone kissed someone from the sounds of it and put a worm in them. But maybe that's just what they do in Peru. He's never been before. So he doesn't think, he doesn't think there's actual fat sucking vampires out there. The guy had a worm in him, he's not going to make a lot of sense. There's a rational explanation for everything so far, is Ted's view.
Great. I can't wait to find out what those are. Okay, that would be Justin, who plays Mr. Wilfred Farwell. Hey, Justin.
Ahoy, hoy.
Quick recap on Wilfred for us.
Mr. Farwell is doing great. He's travelled to Peru to assist this expedition and accompany his wife, who is a renowned and capable psychic / magic person, but made of magic, communicates with ghosts and stuff. Probably, who knows? So it's all going good. Basically failing upwards, apart from the small incident last game week where I accidentally tried to perform a surgery, surgically remove a worm demon from said dying person with limited success, but no one died. So maybe overall a good learning experience for all.
Lovely, thank you. Okay, that is going to be Steve, who plays Edwin Price. Hey, Steve.
Hello. No one died whilst in our presence.
Every second somebody dies outside of our presence. So, if I was worried about that, then, what am I?
The important thing is to run away, clearly. Hello. Edwin Price is a lawyer and rapidly deciding that he's out of his depth. He was encouraged to come on this adventure by a friend of his who said, you should go off and see the world, see what there is to see in this wide open world. And now he's seen a dead body, an emaciated dead body with a huge, great circular wound on it, with fresh blood, and a stabbing, and this poor professor writhing around in agony with some sort of weird parasite in him. It's just a complete coincidence that the two people who are going to go off on an expedition to try to beat Larkin suddenly either died or were taken out by parasites.
Yep, complete coincidence.
That is bad luck.
Not for our
Thank
expedition,
you.
really. Good luck for ours.
Next up is John, who plays Merritt Barton. Hey, John.
Hello. Barton is a linguist, a linguistics researcher who is in Peru because he recently, as a passing fancy, decided to pick up some Quechua. I say it differently every single time. I promise I have looked up how to pronounce it, and I'm so sorry. One of the local pre-Spanish indigenous languages of Peru, and decided to maybe be a bit reckless and, go to Peru to learn the language firsthand. So here he is. It's going great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lovely. Thanks, John. And finally, Sam, who plays Mrs. Winifred Farwell. Hey, Sam.
Hello. Yeah,
Little recap on Winnie, please.
Mrs. Farwell, thank you very much. Mrs. Farwell is obviously the wife of Wilfred Farwell. She's kind of a antiquarian mystic sort back in London. She's kind of got a name for herself, with very legitimate fortune tellings and such with rather wealthy people. And I think her husband kind of was, first of all, just invited along on this trip, but she sort of saw this as a really interesting opportunity and was very intrigued by what was going on. So joined, basically, came along. It wasn't particularly difficult given a relatively wealthy individual. And yeah, she's, I would hesitate to say, like, having a good time because people are dying, but she's certainly very excited by all this that's going on and thinks there must be something really, really interesting to find at the end of all this if people are going so far as to try and kill each other. So she's all on board.
Great. Thank you. So, Sanchez has just been wheeled out of the room on a gurney. Elias Jackson has followed out of the room.
So he's okay. He's gone as well, has he?
Oof.
Yeah,
I guess
so the
I
door
guess he
kind of
was
swings
friends with the
shut
guy.
behind him.
Yeah. Okay.
Have we called
Well,
the police?
We should do that.
They haven't seen the body in the storeroom yet, have they?
No.
I mean, the police seems like a good idea then. If you know,
I'll go. There's no guarantee they speak English. I'll go find a phone.
What
Did
what
we
was-
agree if there's a phone in the office?
There is
Maybe
not
so.
one in the office, but you have seen a sort of reception area that you think may well have a phone.
Then I will, go out to the reception area.
You said body? What did you find down there?
A scene of quite a bit of chaos, and unfortunately, a dead body that looked old enough that at first I thought may have been a record, an artifact. But the blood was quite fresh, and it had, unfortunately, Sanchez's assistant's notebook in it.
Old? As in desiccated?
As
Or
in
do you mean
mummified. I will hand Mrs. Farwell the notebook because she wasn't there when we read it out.
Mm-hmm. I will catch myself up with that. I think probably first of all, I think maybe I'll take myself just to a corner of the room and actually just effectively just think for a minute. Maybe even get my own notebook out and scribble some things.
And I will go out to find a phone.
Okay, so as you leave the room, you see that Elias is just he's not continued much past exiting the room. So Sanchez is nowhere to be seen with the two sort of, you assume, medical-ish staff at the university. It is the weekend, so he's just kind of standing and staring off, presumably relatively in shock.
I sort of clear my throat to make it clear that I'm there, but not to directly interrupt him if he needs a moment.
Okay, yeah, he kind of he doesn't jump when you do that, but you see him kind of, move from the one position that he had been in for the few seconds that you'd seen him, and turns and says, "Oh, hey, Mr. Barton. I apologize. I was not in the room right then."
Perfectly understandable. I'm going to go and try and contact the authorities.
Yeah, that seems like a good idea.
Elias wasn't with us when we found the body, was he? He stayed with Sanchez.
Correct.
Then I will tell him we found his assistant as well. Rizzo?
Damn.
You may be... This may fall under your expertise for the esoteric, but I'm not entirely sure how Miss was the assistant female.
Yep.
How Miss Rizzo died. She appeared to be mummified, but recently. But also not recently.
Can I have popped my head round the door to be listening and just kind of mutter, slightly under my breath, but definitely audible, Keroseri?
Okay.
Could be a common origin of the myth.
But we lack an explanation, nonetheless.
And there was also the guy who was just stabbed.
I wasn't aware of that.
Huh. Yeah. So Nothing with the remotest chance of being supernatural with that one, I don't think. If you're happy to make the call, Mr. Barton, I'll go check on the professor.
Of course.
And he wanders off.
Can I follow him to check on the professor?
Yep. What are Edwin, Wilfred, and Ted up to?
I mean, I think Farwell thinks that there's a lot of intelligent people in this room, and he's looking to them for an idea of how to fix things. That's you can see that he's kind of now as well that Mrs. Farwell's again gone. He has no one to look to for direction.
Ted's going to ask the other two. He'll say, "You don't think the police will try and stop us going on the expedition now, do you? Want us to stick around for their investigations? Because that will be."
You want to continue with? You saw the name on the letter.
Yeah.
And Jackson Elias talked about these vampires, these Karasiri.
Yeah,
You saw the wound on the... What?
Bram Stoker wrote about vampires in Whitby, but doesn't mean they're hanging around.
Well, we've just seen two... There's a dead body downstairs. We just saw someone else. We saw the professor attacked. That's... How often do you see that in your life?
I've never been to Peru before.
I don't think it happens on a daily basis.
I have to agree
I might
with
be wrong.
Mr. Price here.
I mean, looking at this, we found a mummy in a university basement, which...
With fresh blood?
Yeah, but...
She'd just gone down to check. She'd just gone down to check the stores.
Do we know that was her? That could have been a student pulling a prank. Put their notebook in one of the mummies, put a little bit of blood on it. Let's scare the English people.
They didn't know we were going down there.
Well, they could have been trying to scare their friend. And stabbing, like I say, it could happen here a lot. And again, I don't know what they've got here. Parasites, worms. I just think it's a bit more of a story if we go in the jungle. At the minute, as an article...
It might well be, Mr. Hobbs, but it might not be a story you get to write.
That'll be all right.
Well, I have grave suspicions about this Mendoza chap now.
I mean, do you really think... What is it, a fat-sucking vampire? Come on.
All I know is two people who are due to go to the same place that Larkin and Mendoza are about to go on have just been attacked. One is dead.
For Farwell will be making agreeing noises and like along with everything Mr. Price is saying, kind of like, yeah, come on, like obviously, like that kind of thing. Because Price, Farwell's like maybe not entirely convinced it's a vampire, but thinks that's a much more likely and sensible answer to this situation than students pulling pranks. But then he like that might be because he's never been to a university before, so that maybe he doesn't understand how far students will go.
I just think it'll be a shame for all this to happen and we end up sitting in a police station here instead of exploring, a jungle looking for lost treasure. I mean, that seems like, the two options. I mean, it might not. They might let us go. But...
I mean, they have... Speaking at a professional level, we can't be held responsible for the for the body downstairs. Admittedly, though, we did induce some injuries to the professor, but those aren't. The parasite was clearly visible. So anyway, last night, Mr. Elias was talking about death cults. Today, we're faced with this. I think we need to know more, and I think perhaps there might be some books around here that might be worth looking for. And I think Edwin will start looking around on the professor's desk and bookshelves and sort of just trying to find.
Jonny, the professor, did he
Yep.
have any wounds that were like? I don't remember having any like if you didn't believe in vampires or worm things entering through a vampire's bite or something, would the professor have had any obvious apparent cause of death, like cause of injury? Like he doesn't have any like lacerations, or apart from the ones I gave him. You know, like if you were, you know, basically what I'm kind of trying to get at is, would it be possible to conclude that he had died of some non-suspicious means, like a natural illness or parasite or whatever? Is that like from, you know, me knowing nothing, I suppose. I guess, you know, is this even going to be a murder case if it looks like he might have died of something that's relatively natural causes?
So the only thing that the two things that you noticed were the sort of lump moving around in the sort of digestive area,
stuff around his mouth,
and the waxy secretion around his mouth. There were no puncture wounds or anything that you saw.
Then I would probably say that to the people in the room is that I can't see how there's going to be a murder investigation here when the man has no stab wounds or poison or that we know of, you know. So I think in both of these cases it's going to be hard to hold anyone for any serious suspicion. What are we going to be held for? Turning someone into a mummy? I don't see it. I don't see anything sticking, and that applies just as much to whoever did this as us.
Whilst I'm looking around, I'd probably chime in with, it's not much to go on, but the person who was stabbed, they said it was by a man in a hooded figure, but a man with a mustache, and I think it was something like unkind eyes.
Yeah.
Doesn't say a lot, but
unhappy eyes is what I've got written down. Now, I've been around a few times. I've had occasional dealings with the police, and you know, the last words of somebody who's on the edge of death. Sometimes, some coppers, that's a big deal for them. Sometimes it doesn't mean very much. So there's not a lot to go on unless there's something more concrete. Is concrete a word that you'd use in the 1920s? I don't know. Something more stable, something
more lead.
As robust as a Chrysler. I don't know what I'm going to say.
Something as sturdy as the Titanic.
Something as, yeah, exactly. Unsinkable. You know. Yeah, with that kind of thing, I'm going to kind of, again, lean against something, try not to get in the way of the people who are picking things up and investigating things, and otherwise wait for someone to return with more news.
Okay, let's do Jackson Elias and Mrs. Farwell going to find the professor. Yeah, Elias kind of is leading the way. You're not sure that he knows where he's going. And in fact, when you sort of bump into somebody else in the hallway, he in very good Spanish. You can sort of I don't think you have any Spanish, do you? No, but you get the idea that he's essentially asking where to go from the fact that this woman then kind of points you in a direction. And he's sort of striding, he's not making conversation on the way there. He's obviously worried about his friend.
Yeah, that's fine.
So
I won't make any conversation.
Cool. And yeah, eventually you go into you don't know whether it's actually sort of a sick bay or whether it's like a kind of medical researchy room or what, but basically they have him up on like a slab essentially, and it seems that they have either he's feeling much better in the last 5 minutes, or potentially they've given him something to sedate him slightly. He's still sort of mumbling and still looking very like pale and sweaty, but is not sort of screaming and writhing around. He's kind of, it's almost like a fitful sleep that he's in now.
Okay. I think I was in the room when that happened earlier. I will probably immediately, if like his top is off and visible, I will immediately be curious to see if I can still see the parasite thing inside him. First of all, have they done anything?
Okay. Do you want to make a spot hidden?
Yeah,
roll?
Sure. That I am quite good at. 28. That is a hard success. Yeah.
Okay. You think that you can see a little bit of movement. Again, this seems to be slightly subdued now compared to before.
Okay. I might just like point it to Jax Elias, just be like, these medical professionals know about this, right? They're dealing with it. Pointing to the small bit of movement.
I'll check. And again, in Spanish, you see him kind of gesturing and obviously attempting to explain the situation. And they respond with something and then kind of usher you out of the room.
Before I leave, could I try and get a look at the wax on his lips? But this might not give me enough time then if they're going to try and usher us out.
Yeah. What do you want to?
I'm just trying to get a closer look at what it looks like before I'm forced away. Just like, it's just like a strange waxy material that's all around his lips where he was touched. I guess that's all I can get without.
Yeah, it's sort of like a ring around the mouth. Not like a perfect circle or anything, but just kind of around there. And yeah, almost like a drying wax.
Okay. It's not like it's burned his skin or anything like that, or done any harm where it's touched. Okay.
No.
Yeah, I guess that's all I can get before I'm ushered out then.
So yeah, Elias is walking back more slowly than the pace that he was doing to get there. And he kind of turns to you and says, he seemed to be not quite as bad as he was, huh? Maybe whatever that thing is, he's I don't know, maybe his body's fighting it off.
Well, whatever it is, I'm no doctor, but I don't think it should be inside him. I hope they're going to deal with it. I suppose maybe they're used to that sort of tropical creature here, though, if that's what it is. Never heard of something being kissed into someone before. That's really what happened.
Yeah, maybe that was, feverish. I don't know how much we can trust about somebody in that much. He was obviously in a lot of pain.
Safe to say a lot of strange things occurring today.
Yeah. Okay, let's get back to the group. And John, Merritt, do you want to, what do you want to relay to them?
First of all, I think I might actually call Martin.
Yep. Okay.
And give him a very, very brief overview, more along the lines of the professor is here, he needs medical attention, and there are other things to look at. Please come quickly.
Yep,
and then I will call
fine.
the police. I will mention the stab victim, and I will mention. I think I will mention the body and the disarray. And I will also mention that Professor Sanchez has been taken sick.
Okay. Are you having this conversation in Spanish?
Yes.
Can you just make a skill roll for me, please?
Yes.
You're gonna. I'm just, any more complex things. That's all. You'll be able to relay.
Just don't fumble.
That is an extreme success.
Okay, great. Yeah, literally everything that you want to get across, you get across. Yeah, they say that. Obviously it's very serious, and they'll have some people there shortly.
Excellent.
And I'll say, just after you've had that conversation, you see Mrs. Farwell and Jackson Elias come back around the corner. Oh yes, tick skills that you have successfully rolled on. Yeah, you see that that Jackson Elias is looking slightly less sort of distraught than he was a few moments ago when you last saw him. He says, "Oh, Mr. Barton, did you get on okay with the police there? Are they heading down?"
I did. They said they were sending some people over. They didn't sound too rushed about it. So hopefully Corporal Martin can have a look at it first.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Great. If he's heading down, that'd be okay. Lovely. Great. Right. Let's head back into the office. And the group are reunited in the office. Steve, did you say that you wanted to have a look through the books and stuff that are here?
Yes, just looking for anything that might relate to the expedition, or anything that seems relevant.
Cool. Feel free to give me library use, I would say, because it's not necessarily a hidden thing.
Okay. I have 40 in library use, and I rolled a 28.
Nice. Okay. Let's say that you find the tension. It's building.
A book. Oh.
Yeah. So you imagine this is a potential route that you could take.
So we're in Lima currently.
Yeah. Or it may be that the professor has had some intel about the planned route by Larkin, and this may be the route that he is planning to take you on.
Okay, fair
I'll share that with you separately.
be poring over that on the desk or something like that as other things go on.
So you think that it'll be, it's going to be a good few minutes before Martin arrives.
Is it safe to assume we're all in agreement that this can be no coincidence 2 days before our expedition? Correct?
Seems clear to me.
Indeed. The two people who were planning to make a similar expedition and had already been ignored or rebuffed by Larkin. Yes, it at the very least, it seems incredibly unusual.
There is a possibility, while we may be jumping to conclusions, considering certain names found in the records, that Larkin had no part in this, and that a third party is targeting potential competition. With that in mind, should we alert Larkin?
Jonny,
intriguing
is Jackson Elias in the room with us at the moment? Or has he?
He is, yeah.
Well, at the very least, Mr. Elias, if you are interested in the research you claim, you at the very least need to see the body before it disappears.
As morbid as that is, I think you're probably correct, Mr. Price. Do you think, should we all head down there, or somebody want to stay here for Corporal Shane arrives?
Well, once the corporal is here, I'm sure he will want to see the body more than the rest of us, perhaps. We shall go down then.
I begin to worry that we didn't catch the culprit. It would be upsetting if the evidence was removed before we had a chance to see it.
And as far as we know, there's a madman running around with a knife, stabbing people.
I don't think we should
So,
go individually. I think we should
let's
stay in groups.
not leave one person on their own anywhere. I think is probably a good idea. I mean, yeah, I think half and half it. A couple of us stay here, the other three of us, the other group of us go down.
I suppose we should rejoice that we're all safe and well. I'll probably lean into Mr. Farwell.
I will stay here and see if there's anything else on the professor's desk of interest. I think I've already seen the body in quite alarming detail.
I'm happy to go again with...
Yeah, I'll go down to the body. So if the Farwells stay here with Mr. Barton and wait for the corporal, and the rest of us head down.
As intrigued as I am to see it, I fear my gentle sensibilities would not allow.
Okay, so I suppose Jack Ted was the only one who was down there before, right? Oh no, sorry, Edwin went down as well. So yeah, Elias basically follows you two to the spot, and upon arriving, I'm going to make a sanity roll for Jackson Elias now.
Follower loses his mind in session 3.
That'd be good, wouldn't it? I'm looking for his stat block, and I'm absolutely going to roll either like a 1 or a 95 so that it would be obvious anyway, aren't I? Oh no, 42. That would maybe be less obvious. Okay, yeah, he's fine. So yeah, you get down there. Everything is as you left it. And he says, "Oh, good God."
This is why I was... Well, you mentioned fat vampires. I realise I've never seen anything like this before, but you have to admit it doesn't look usual.
Yeah, this is not the easiest thing to explain away, I suppose. Okay. Well, we can see what Corporal Shane says, and I suppose the police also.
The professor mentioned that she was looking for an artifact that could help them somehow. Was it to determine the location? I forget. It's been quite a day.
Yeah, they will. They were looking for something that I think had maybe been mentioned in something that they'd read.
Well, there was a gold bar of some sort. I think gold was mentioned in the text.
Oh, perhaps that's it.
Well, if you've seen enough.
Yes, I think so. Okay. Yeah, if nobody else wants to do anything down there, then I think as you're sort of heading up, I would say that Martin has arrived, and perhaps you almost cross the other group, sort of just outside the office. So what I will do, unless there's anything specific that you want to sort of discuss with Martin or have Martin do, I'm just going to make a roll to see what he can discern from the body.
Was there skin on the gold bar as well, or something burnt?
Yes, there wasn't there a bit of flesh hanging onto it or something?
Oh, okay, I rolled a 23 under 60 for medicine. So, yeah, I would say that you see Martin sort of kneel down at the body and pull out a pencil and kind of poke at the area that's, the sort of torn flesh on the chest. And you also see him kind of like almost basically kind of expose that there is loose skin, kind of does it on like a shoulder blade, but just kind of, kind of stretches out the skin a little. And kind of turns and says, I don't really want to feed into Mr. Elias's folklore tales, but this is well, the skin is like a telltale sign of extreme weight loss in a very short term. I'm not sure about this torn flesh area here. Doesn't look. The obvious thing is some kind of bite, but the surface area and the teeth layout doesn't really correspond to a human mouth at all, and not really like any kind of dog bite or anything like that that I've seen.
Is there anything?
Sorry, go on, John.
Is there anything missing under the bite? It's on the chest, yes? Although, I mean, is the heart still there?
I can't see any way that it would have come out.
Just wondering.
Not easy to check without surgery. Right. I think there's a couple more people that I might need to look at, speak to.
Yes, one of them is in the medical wing. Where did this stabbing victim go? Was he seen safe?
Well,
Stubbled
we were
home.
able to provide some first aid, Elias and myself. Jonny, were they essentially walking wounded? Were they kind of?
I think you got another member of the university
Oh,
staff
yes.
to basically,
Yes.
it wasn't a medical member of staff, but it was like, can you deal with this now, please? In as polite a way as possible. This has happened on your ground. The chances are that they'll have gone to a doctor somewhere externally. They were injured, but you don't think that it was fatal if they got seen, and they could get up and move with some difficulty. So yeah, there's a good chance that they're alive somewhere. You're just maybe not sure where. You could probably recognize the person that you handed them off to if you saw them again. And you imagine that once the police arrive, there's a good chance that at some point they'll be speaking to the police. So if you wanted to try and track that person down again, you could probably find them, but it might take you a little while.
Jonny, has the corporal popped into the office at any point before going to see Sanchez? But I won't know that. But have they come in at any point?
Yes. Yeah. They'll have come in, and because obviously Merritt's shown them down. So
Okay, cool. So before they leave, sorry, could I have called them just to say, if you go to see Dr. Sanchez, he said there was something inside him, some sort of parasitic creature or something. And I'll point to about where I saw it on the body. About here, I could still see it moving when the other medical professionals were looking at him. I'm no medical expert, but I'm sure that needs to come out if possible. But he thought he'd been kissed as well. You can see something around his mouth. I get the impression he believes that's how something might have been put inside him, as crazy as it sounds. I mean, presumably he didn't have this parasite inside him when we were talking to him. You'd think he would have noticed. So it seems an explanation, even as crazy as it sounds. Maybe this can be of some help to you anyway.
Noted. Thank you, Mrs. Farwell. Cool. So I guess you come back up from the basement. Was somebody mentioning the skin on the gold bar? Has Mr. Farwell still got the gold bar?
I don't think I do have it. I think I think. I mean, to be honest, I think it might still be down in the room where I haven't brought up the skin.
Okay.
I would have mentioned, I'd have indicated the gold bar.
I will roll an idea roll and see if I remember to bring up the skin. That seems like the only most sensible thing to do. Which I guess as they're leaving, I might do, given that I passed up. Actually, just one thing. Did you enjoy that, Jonny?
Yes. So
wait,
are you taking the gold bar, or are you peeling this burnt flesh off the gold bar?
No, what I would say is that if like we have if we had a chance to bring it up with anyone looking into this, then we would remember to do so.
Oh, okay, got you.
To discuss it.
Okay,
but I'm not peeling off any skin.
Yeah. Sorry, when you said bring it up, I thought you meant bring it up from the basement.
No.
Rather than bring up the topic of conversation, which is why I was like, hang on, you're bringing up the skin from the basement without the gold.
I bring it up from my gullet. I ingested the skin earlier.
Okay, anyway, so yes, that's fine. So when you are in the basement storeroom, is it just John, is it just Merritt that's gone with the corporal? I think it is, isn't it? Are the Farwells staying in the
I think it is.
office?
I think it's like if they I'll remember to bring it up if
Okay, perfect. So yeah, as you are have just finished examining the body, Corporal Shane says, is that the gold bar?
Yes.
And kind of leans down to it and sees the area with the kind of burnt flesh marks on it. And on a different area of the gold, kind of taps it, back of the hand. And it's like, huh.
What is it?
Nothing.
I'm sorry?
Well, there's nothing to. How? And this was just like it had been pried from a box.
Yes, I think Mr. Farwell found it initially.
It looked like it was in a box, and the box had been broken open.
I mean, the only time that I've ever seen anything like this is somebody being careless with an incredibly hot pipe. And if this was just in a box and had been... Well, there's no heat source around here to have...
I believe the box had been packed with straw as well. That would have...
Well, the straw would have been probably lit if this had been a temperature to... Or at least singed.
I don't suppose there's anything to indicate where the skin was from, is there? I suppose it's burnt now, so...
Tell you what. Not that I can see, but I have a feeling we should keep hold of this for the time being. I realise that taking a giant gold bar from a murder scene is perhaps...
It's a little bit irregular.
It would give me more of an opportunity to try and decipher the carvings. Or castings? That would be an interesting thing to determine.
We know the professor was interested in it. Perhaps he... I really don't like...
I suppose, considering the proximity in the storeroom, this could be, or at least thought to be, the gold mentioned in Figueroa's account.
I was thinking perhaps that if the situation had been different, perhaps Risa might have taken the gold bar to the professor's office. Perhaps, well, I don't know. If we're going to move it, we should do so quickly. And at least if it's there, we can study it a little.
The professor did give me permission to examine anything in the storeroom.
Ah.
Strictly borrowing.
That's verbal consent from a high-ranking member of the university, I think.
I think
for academic study.
We can work with that.
Do we have any evidence of this?
6 or so witnesses.
Witnesses, yes. I can. Is Mr. Farwell here? If you are in, I can work.
I'm not. I'm not in earshot.
That's all right then.
Merrick will. I'll pick up the bar from the opposite end of the burnt skin.
Stick it down your trousers and then
maybe wrap it in my jacket. It's like a meter long.
It's 10 kilos as well. It's hefty.
When I do it, it's illegitimate. When Barton does it, it's a correct decision.
It's 2 feet long. It's just over half.
Okay.
So it's not quite as long as that. So
I mean, there is
like,
the box. There is still
like
we
this.
could take it out in the box.
That seems sensible.
Okay, yeah.
Cool.
Just checking my how much I've got in law. Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
So while you're still down there, I'll say that some police come into Professor Sanchez's office. 4 officers, one who is clearly more high-ranking than the rest, begins to speak to you both in Spanish. The Farwells. Oh, is Ted still there also, or has Ted gone back down to the basement with?
I think he'd have gone back down to the basement.
Okay. Jackson Elias will have stayed in the office. So, but he's sitting in the professor's chair, and I'm assuming that you two are around the other side of the desk, kind of the front side of the desk. So they start speaking to you in Spanish, and then Jackson Elias stands and says, "Hablas inglés?" And the sort of higher ranking police officer says, yes, no problem. We had a call. And he says, yes, there have been a number of things, I'm afraid to say. There is a body in the basement storeroom, which we believe may have been created under suspicious circumstances.
We believe it's Miss Dr. Sanchez's assistant.
Yes,
I'll give the name.
Trinidad Rizzo. Yeah. And another man was stabbed. And Professor Sanchez has been taken ill. Maybe some kind of poison, or perhaps it's a coincidence and is some kind of parasitic infection. But so he's in the medical area, and I think that the gentleman who was stabbed, I think, has sought medical assistance externally from professionals, perhaps a local doctor or the hospital.
Both Professor Sanchez and the man who was stabbed, I think, did get a look at the person who attacked them. If either of them can tell you more.
Very good. And you did you see anyone? Did you see anything that happened at the time? I did not. I heard I heard a scream of the gentleman who was stabbed, and came out to see what had happened. But no, I did not see anybody.
I also only heard things. Wilfred, you were the first downstairs. Did you see anything?
Yeah, I think I can describe the noises we heard in the. Apart from the noises that we heard, kind of in the storeroom down the bottom when I did run around trying to find whoever done that, I don't think. I think we got too late to the body of the professor to see anything.
But you think you may have come across the body downstairs only shortly after they were attacked?
So someone ran away. That doesn't mean that was the person who did the attack.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I will leave one of my officers here to take statements from you all. And we shall go and investigate downstairs. Those of you who are downstairs, I will say that you can be leaving the basement at the time that they are heading down.
Before we go, rather than me trying to sneak this gold bar box out, can I try and file it somewhere in the storeroom?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Very near a window or something.
Just on the opposite side of the room from the dead body. This had nothing to do with anything. It is an unrelated box.
Yep, that's fine.
Put it in the outgoing post pile with your name on it. That's what I would do.
It's going to need a lot of stamps.
So the officers see you leaving the sort of long corridor that leads up the stairs from the storeroom. Ask you very similar questions, and want to take a statement again from you. Is anybody leaving anything out, or is there anything specifically of note that you would like to say? Are you mentioning any names, for example, of anyone, or are you not?
I'm not going to mention Mendoza's name.
Okay.
I mean, we knew, or we suppose the person in the stores was Riso. Yeah, so I'll mention Riso and the professor's names. I don't know who the person was who was stabbed was.
Yeah.
I don't think I'll leave I won't say, oh, I think that the professor was attacked by a Karasiri.
I would say that. Just putting it out there.
But yes, I'll indicate that he was in distress and that there seemed to be parasite, and we did try to help as much as we could.
Okay.
And I will also give the very brief description of what the stab victim saw.
They get the location of where you're staying as well, but once they've taken your statement and your details, they basically tell you that you're free to depart.
I think I probably will mention Mendoza. I don't think we have any reason, and not like he's did it or anything, just to be like, this gentleman clearly
What rivalry between?
Yeah, there was a rivalry here between the two of them, and these people who have now been attacked were not invited in the expedition. And we've also heard some strange rumors about this man Mendoza. I think that's about all I'll say about him.
Oh, do you think we're giving our statement together?
Or are we individually separated?
No, they're not. They're not, because you're not suspect at this time, so they're not separating you.
So
to make
you could
sure
hear
that
this
you
whole thing.
Give the same story.
That's for later on in the campaign.
I guess I probably would also say at this point, like that. If people have been accusing this guy of being one of these kerosene, and
Karasiri, darling, Karasiri.
And if they knew that, maybe they would have. Maybe it could be being set up. Just throwing any kind of wild speculation I can throw into this whole equation, not maliciously, just because that's what Farwell's doing.
Okay. So Mrs. Farwell has said that there may be some rivalry, and that Luis de Mendoza may be a questionable character.
Well, that's
okay. Cool. What do you want to do now? You're free to go. They basically two officers are in the basement. When the one has finished taking your statements, they say that they're going to go and try and find the person who was stabbed, and one of them has gone to the medical area to talk to the medics and look at how the professor is doing, basically.
Did Martin get a chance to? Was Martin going to examine the professor? Was that a thing that was?
You haven't had chance before the police have shown up. You could try and push your luck and see if they'll let let a random person, like, if you want to try and talk your way into Martin having a look.
I would like to try and do that, because I'm still fairly convinced that Professor Sanchez, if we all leave now, might end up dead, and I'm not keen to see that happen. So I might say that to the group. I feel like whatever has happened to him is unique, and I'm not sure without some suggestion at the very least, Professor Sanchez will live through the night.
There is the risk, of course, that unless the professor is well, I do hope his condition isn't terminal in this state. But if Mendoza was responsible, he's still out there. He found his way in to this place unobserved. Perhaps the professor is still at risk if he's not left guarded.
Even if Mendoza isn't responsible, I believe someone is, and the same rule follows regardless of who they are.
Yes, of course. Yes.
Corporal, I think you should see them if you can. Definitely.
I am happy to try. I would potentially like to rely on someone more persuasive than myself to try and help me into that situation.
Someone with persuade who doesn't have Spanish, you mean?
Perhaps you could be persuading through mime or just,
What's Merritt's
raw
persuade?
charisma.
I will persuade 55.
Yeah, you better than me. Go for it.
Okay. I'll try and talk to the police, see if they can't get you in. I'm sure I can argue that as a man of the armed forces, you've seen a wide range of exotic parasites.
Yep, let's go. So you head down. You see that the three are in conversation in there, and you also see that the professor is. You obviously hadn't seen this, but the professor is still in that kind of almost fitful rest state that Mrs. Farwell and Jackson Elias had seen him in last. So somewhat of a marked improvement from the way that he was before. Again, not clear whether that's an actual improvement or some kind of sedation, without asking. But,
Right.
So yeah, the two of you head in.
I would have followed as well, if possible.
Yeah, sure. So, what do you want to say to them, John?
I think I will try much the tack that I said, that we have Corporal Shane here, is a respected doctor, member of the British Armed Forces, dealt with exotic parasites, may be able to operate and remove whatever this parasite is before the professor's condition degrades.
Okay. What's your Spanish level?
My Spanish is 52.
Okay, I'm fine for you to not roll on Spanish. Can you make me a persuade roll? Was it persuade that you were going with, I assume? Yeah. And I am happy to give you a bonus die, so you get to roll the 10s twice, basically, and take the better.
Exciting.
Option. Because, Corporal Shane is an army it's.
Why would they say no to this?
Not, yeah.
Where is my other D100? There it is. Right. It's 16.
Cool. Is that a hard success?
That's a hard success.
Yeah, hard success. Don't forget to tick. So, they, Corporal Shane and Mrs. Farwell are kind of just standing there hearing this conversation go on in Spanish. Not quite sure how it's going. But they basically say, yes, actually, perhaps this person's expertise would be useful for us. And that's it's actually the high-ranking police officer as well, the higher-ranking officer. So you wonder if you'd got one of the others, they might have been a bit more. I'm not sure. I might have to go ask, but he just basically gives you the okay.
Excellent.
So you've briefed Martin, haven't you, about? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
I'm just going to
specifics.
Make a medicine roll. Oh boy.
The good kind of oh boy?
That is an extreme success.
Yes. You needed that.
So you see Corporal Shane go over to the equipment that they have out. and take a scalpel and kind of like I don't know what they're called. They're kind of hooked metal finger things that you can use to pull. You know what I mean? They almost look like a, but it's like a single,
like tweezers, right?
Yeah,
it's like a
the
single
grabbers
metal thing that you
things.
just use to kind of pull things up. Anyway, and basically,
Please leave a note in the comments if you know what the pulley metal
yeah,
thing
if you know what that piece of medical equipment is called, then great. It's like a lock-picking tension bar. That's the thing that I can. In
Of
fact,
course,
I
Johnny
have
knows
one
about
next to me.
lock-picking tension bars.
I
Yes.
think that's what it's
And
called.
has one.
It's very much like this item, but bigger. There you are. So, no questions. I'll be taking no questions. You see Corporal Shane take the scalpel and the tension bar, we'll say, and some. They'd have used iodine then, right? Probably, yeah. Basically, with speed rather than any attempt at sort of precision on this, just kind of like splashes a little of that on an area, and then you see him make a small incision kind of at the edge of the belly button, and then pull, and then after having put a glove on, reach in and remove something that is almost the size of a human fist. And the smell as this thing leaves the body, it's like rotting meat. And you see it comes out and it's kind of stationary, and then it starts to move a little, and then Martin just puts it on a side and basically pulls out a knife and stabs through the center of it.
Are we in the room, Johnny?
Yes, just momentarily. So he's stabbed through the center of it, and it stops moving, and it's now pinned to this kind of side workbench. And then he walks over and starts doing very neat stitches on the professor's stomach.
I'm going to
unfazed pretty much by the, just literally gone over, done this, stabbed, walked over, started doing the stitching.
I want to try and find a bottle or something to like put it in, but I will definitely hesitate before I actually put the thing in the bottle.
Okay. So as you kind of shuffle over to that side of the room, because it's the opposite side of the room to you, so the professor and Martin and everybody else are kind of between you and this workbench. So you have to walk by the front of the
I'm just hoping no one looks at me.
Well, Martin doesn't look up and says, "I'd leave that for a moment, Mrs. Farwell."
I just put the bottle down nearby and go, righto.
Good Lord. Are the university staff still nearby?
Yes. Everybody's just kind of in a shocked silence at this point.
I will ask in Spanish, is this native to Peru?
One of the medical staff and the police officer are just kind of looking between the workbench and the professor. And the other medical... In fact, can you make a listen roll, John?
Yes. That is hard success.
Okay. The other member of the medical staff under their breath says, Karasiri.
Is that a scientific name or a local colloquialism?
They basically kind of look at you, surprised that you have heard, and then kind of half go to like stagger out of the room. They look shocked.
I might just, while Martin is presumably finishing up, just go, Corporal, have you ever seen anything like that before?
No.
And I'm not too familiar with your experience, but I take it from today you have done this a fair few times before.
I've unfortunately had to stab before, and I've certainly done some rustic battlefield surgery before, but not exactly this situation.
Well, it seems safe to say that this is unusual then. I'll probably just be staring at the thing that was taken out of him. Will he be okay?
I think so, as long as whatever that is hasn't done too much damage in the time it was there. Jackson Elias walks in and kind of looks at Martin as he's kind of just pulling and tying the last stitch. And then kind of his eye jumps and you just see him looking at the sideboard with the knife sticking out of the large maggot-like item.
I'll faintly nod at Jackson as he looks at it.
So you got the thing. Is he all right? And Martin just kind of nods while snipping the stitch.
Excellent work, Corporal, I suppose. We should all congratulate you.
Well, I definitely like the second opinion of perhaps somebody in a hospital, but I think he should be okay.
We should, Mr. Barton. Oh, I'm sorry. And then I'll turn to the head of the police because I realize suddenly that he does speak English and he's still in the room, right?
Yeah.
I'll go, excuse me. You speak English. We're not sure, but it seems that it may be that Professor Sanchez is in some danger if he is escorted to the hospital. Can he have some sort of watch or protection from the police? I'm just concerned for his safety should someone come back to try and hurt him.
It is likely that somebody would be stationed there. This is slightly more complex as a reason to have somebody stay. However, as the other gentleman was obviously assaulted, I should be able to have somebody stay, and we can perhaps room them near each other for the night.
Thank you kindly. I'm sure we'll visit him when he's well as well.
Very strange. And he walks out of the room.
Jonny, oh, sorry, carry on.
I was just going to say, I suppose, wait for the corporal to finish up and then point at the thing to say, what are we going to do with that? But
what were you going to say, Steve, as well?
I was going to ask whether we had time, whether the police had vacated the storeroom yet. Like if we had an opportunity to maybe take rubbings of the gold bar or something, but that's a separate thing. You know.
Okay, that's fine. So I would say that's all happened relatively quickly. There's probably 10 minutes have passed. So they may be a while longer yet as they are examining a dead body and the scene. So, you know, they could easily be an hour.
Sure.
But yeah, so Sam, and you were saying...
Yeah, once the corporal is finished, I think I will just point at the thing and just go, what will we do with that now then?
Jackson Elias looks at it and says, burn it, maybe?
I feel like if it is dead, then it may be very useful to find out what's really going on here. I'm no biologist, but I'm getting the impression from the looks of many people in this room that whatever it is very unusual. And perhaps it will help us understand more of, well, the surprising things that we've seen so far.
I don't believe any of us are biologists. I will lean close to Elias and say, one of the medics called it Kurasiri. I thought you might be interested to know. Perhaps the origin of the legend. A fat-eating parasite.
Perhaps so. Yes. Perhaps we should get Ted to take a picture of it for my book. Kind of looks and smells nasty. I don't know if I want to touch the thing.
Winifred is definitely not touching it.
Neither is Merit.
I'll look at the corporal.
He kind of sees everybody looking and then like unscrews the jar that Mrs. Farwell had put down, and then with the gloved hand, kind of like pulls the knife out of the worktop, but kind of lifts the thing with it so that the knife doesn't come out of the thing, so that he doesn't have to completely hold the thing, and then kind of slides it off the knife into the jar with a sort of and a stronger smell as the movement of this thing kind of comes out, and then screws the lid on, disposes of the glove, and kind of goes to hand it to Mrs. Farwell.
Yeah, once the lid's on, I'll take it. I think I'm actually fascinated. So now the lid is upon it and it's safely sealed in its jar, I'll be like looking at it like this. Cool. Not that I don't think there's anything I can glean from doing that, but nonetheless I am.
And then Martin turns to the medical person, and then kind of half turns to Merritt as well, and looks back and says, thank you for allowing me to take a look at him. Please double check my work and ask those at the hospital to do the same. And then
I'll repeat that in Spanish.
Yeah. And they nod, and he goes to head out of the room.
Yeah, I'll follow. Is anyone looking at me strangely that I'm walking out with the jar with this thing in it? Other than just like, that's a weird thing to do. More like, don't take that, you'll sort of thing. You know?
No, they're kind of looking at it, but they've kind of been looking at it the entire time it's been out of the professor's body. So
they're not like, oh my god, don't do that, you'll definitely die looking at it. Yeah, that's fine.
No, but if the other one had still been in the room, then that could have been a different story. Also, Jackson Elias kind of walks up and just puts a hand on the professor's shoulder before leaving with you all. So is everybody meeting up back at his office? I guess the others are still there. So yeah, you return.
I will plonk the jar on the table for everyone to see when we get back.
By Jove, I think that's a sensible reaction to that.
It's a good corporal here, certainly knows his business. I think we all owe him a round of drinks.
Certainly.
And that was in him. Ugh. And is that do we know, is that a local beastie? Or is...
One of the medics, Corporal says, one of the medics seemed to think it was related to Mr. Elias's folklore. Take from that what you will, I suppose.
They seemed quite reticent to provide too much clarification on that.
The professor he seems stable, I suppose, and he's going to the hospital. I asked the police to keep an eye on him as well. Hopefully he'll be safe.
Well, I'm sure he'll be better now that thing isn't inside him. Good God.
I'll tell you all now, you should be very thankful the lid's on.
Look quizzically at Barton.
Smelt awful.
I was going to take it out of the jar for to get a better photo, but maybe not then. Ted is obviously preparing his camera to take a photo of it. It's
Corporal, you should stand in frame with it. You know, proud of your work and all that.
Yeah, if you, by all means, Corporal, if you want to hold it up. Hey, it might not have a name. They couldn't even name it after you if you want. Maybe it's an undiscovered species.
I'm forcing you to decipher Inga's character there, Johnny.
You what? Sorry, Sam.
I was just chuckling, forcing you to decide character moments for Inga's character when she's not here.
Yeah, I'm not sure that he would want to be in the picture necessarily.
No, man, I'll just get it as close up
I know.
anyway.
He says, "Oh, perhaps we could all be in it."
Everyone wants to get in it. I'll probably get a close-up of it anyhow as well, but I haven't brought my camera with a tripod or anything, but I can still stand there and take it. Let's do a photography roll then if I'm taking photos. I put a lot of skill points into it, so I might as well use it. Hey, look at that, a 16, which is definitely under the 70 I have.
Nice. Yeah, that's a hard success. That's good.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, you get what will be a very nice picture, or two very nice pictures.
You remember to record these, aren't you, Jack? We have a little photo album.
Yes. When yeah. I'll even do my own drawings, which will be amazing.
They better be if you're rolling 16 and a top.
I was going to
roll.
say, when it comes to the end, we'll have to see if we can guess which ones were the good rolls and which were the bad
Yeah.
rolls.
Let me tell you now, they'll all look like bad rolls.
They will amaze
Draw.
these drawings of yours anyway.
Can I have another look around the professor's office?
Yep.
I'm assuming I might have a slightly better chance at finding relevant documents.
If I have a moment while, because I imagine there's been some timer as well, I might have a slightly more thorough read of the journal of the assistant who was killed, given I think we only glanced at it before, and I've been holding on to it this whole time, so I might spend a bit of time reading that as well.
Would you like a spot hidden or a library use?
Library use, please, John.
Ooh, it's a 96, but my total skill is 70, so that's not a fumble. Is that this edition or is that a different edition? Good. So it's just
Yeah, I
a
think
fail.
that's fine. Cool. Yeah, there is stuff on this desk about so many different things. And the couple of bits that you find that are kind of related to the expedition are things that you already know, or things that he's told you and that kind of thing. There's no new information. But the nice big map is still laid out on the desk from Edwin looking at that. And Sam, for Mrs. Farwell, the only relevant bits in the notebook, like the only things that are to do with this thing, are the kind of translations which have they're like kind of split down bits that have resulted in this end translation that you've got anyway. So again, no additional information in there.
That's fine. That's fine. Yeah, just double checking there was nothing else. Cool.
So yeah, after if you're kind of hanging around there waiting to hope that the police go, then after an hour or so, they you hear them depart. They don't come back into the office. So the storeroom is presumably accessible. If you wanted to go back down.
Well, I would certainly like to have another look at that gold bar if we can, and maybe try to at least get some sketches or some rubbings from it. It seemed to be important somehow in terms of locating this pyramid.
We have a photograph of the engraving, but maybe a photograph of the imprint as well might be useful. And yes, rubbings might be more accurate. I suppose I'll search the professor's room for some blank paper and...
I've got a notepad
Yeah.
and pencils, so we can... Yeah.
I might try and take Wilfred to one side and just say quietly, Wilfred, it's not really my place, but I feel like that tablet, we might need it.
Well, if you think we might need it...
I wouldn't pick a fight, but maybe see what you can do.
Okay. I'm going to go over to the tablet. Where is it still hidden somewhere in the...
Well, as in the gold bar.
The gold bar, yeah? Well, I mean, we're not down there in the storeroom right now, are we? Or...
I mean, we can...
We're still in the office, I
say...
think.
Well, then I'll head down there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we're all
so-
heading down.
So John, Merritt will have been able to find like the correct things to do a rubbing in here, because obviously it's an archaeology office. So you pull out one of the drawers, and there are just big sheets of like the kind of tracing style paper, and some like charcoal, things to do rubbings with.
Excellent.
So yeah, you have that. So you head down. You can easily locate your box of golden goodies. So yeah, assuming you're going to do that first.
Yep.
Cool.
Sort of.
And Justin, are you planning on doing anything?
Yeah, I'll start off by observing Barton doing this, if I can find Barton down in the storeroom. And, ask what's going on.
Taking the rubbings in case these... Again, I can't tell if they're engravings or castings, but the symbols on it may be of use.
That makes sense.
I'm wondering if it's some sort of language, but without any kind of a key or common phrase, I'm not sure I would be able to decode it. There's no real guarantee what base language it's even from. Could be a completely extinct language, to be honest.
Well, then you'll be in no luck.
I wish I could ask the professor about it. He probably may have more of an idea, but... I'm sure I can hold on to it. Maybe find others later.
The edges of the ends of the gold bar, like, does it look like it's been rounded off, or does it look like it's, is this the whole thing, or is this a piece that's probably broken off something else?
It looks like it's part of a larger. The ends are not, it's not a fully formed item. The ends are rough.
We have the box for this thing, and the box, does it have a label on it, like a name of what this thing might be, or some information about where it was found, or any of that stuff?
Not obviously.
Okay.
Can
I try and spot a non-obvious thing?
Yeah, so basically there is like a reference number on it. So you would need to find the catalog. So library use roll.
Absolutely. That makes the most sense.
Is it possible to assist on that?
Don't need to. I rolled a 4, which I'm going to tick library use.
Okay. Yeah, so you...
To make it clear as well, my intention is to help Barton put the gold bar back and then slide the gold bar into a bag without Barton being aware that this has happened. And no one else needs to know that I've done this. That's what's going to happen at the end of this scene, just so that's clear. But while we're doing that, I'm going to look for the reference book.
Okay. Yeah, so you find a set of drawers with reference cards in. And you find information on this item, which is it's kind of in the same section as the original sort of manuscript that you have found the translated version of, and it is believed to have been part of the hall that the conquistadors removed from the pyramid.
Okay, so originally this is to indicate this is from the place that we are planning to go to.
Quite possibly.
Right.
Believed to be.
Cool. I'll highlight this information to Barton by dragging over the files that correspond to this piece of information.
Interesting. It does
And are you
indicate
then-
it may be
Sorry.
part of a larger engraving.
Could be. Are there any other things in that collection that have also been liberated from the pyramids by intelligent and sensible-minded people?
Not that they have here. There are notes of additional things that they that maybe, for example, they don't believe that this is all of the gold that has been removed from there, but they don't have the other parts of it as far as they're aware in what
That's
they have.
crazy. I can't believe gold would go missing from an expedition, from a archaeological expedition.
Oh no,
Speaking
this wasn't an archaeological expedition. That this gold, when this
from an
gold was removed.
archaeological expedition. Yeah, cool. Yeah, no. Would you like me to help you put that back, Mr. Barton?
Yes, I suppose that's probably for the best.
It's quite heavy.
Justin,
Yeah.
would you like to make a stealth roll to see how well? Unless you can think of something.
I'm
better.
just
wanna
gonna
look at the stats and I think
I'm gonna put it back. I know where it is. I'm gonna wait for Mr. Barton to leave. Then I'm gonna go back and put it in the bag. Like, it's pretty straightforward. Like,
Oh, okay. You're good. Okay, fine.
I love how
fine,
Barton
yeah.
is like on the edge of whether we should take it. You were like, no, I'm going to wait for Barton to leave and then steal it myself.
I don't know how it ended up in my bag, officer. It's magic. It wanted to come with us. Yeah, no, that's fine. That's my plan. I'm going to put it in a big bag,
Okay.
and then I'm going to eventually put it in my bag of tools with my welding gear and other stuff like that I've got that's full of other heavy things that it will get mixed in with when we eventually leave. For it to be
Okay.
produced at the appropriate time.
So you are returning to the office where everyone else is.
I might double back to pop. I'm going to pop to the lavatory, Mr. Barton. Why didn't I meet you back at the office?
Of course. I'll see you there.
Sure, great.
And-
Well, then I execute my plan.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. There's no issue with that. So
When I get back to the office, I'm going to give Mrs. Farwell a big wink.
I will like roll my eyes. Obviously won't say anything more.
and I'm assuming that you are now going to leave the university, and that may be a good point for us to call it, unless anybody has anything else that they would like to do immediately
Great for the
while you're
crew.
still at the
Okay.
university. Cool. Great. Thanks, everybody. Any questions or comments, please put them in the chat. Reminder that Simba Room is not on at the moment, and we will update on when that is coming back. This Thursday, the third episode of Delta Green that is pre-recorded will be streaming. And then the next thing I believe that will be on the channel is this again in 2 weeks, because we are not on next week. So that will be the 26th. So those dates are the 15th, Thursday the 15th, and then Monday the 26th for the next two things that are on the channel. Links to everything below the stream. So our other streaming site, our social media, our Discord, and our Patreon. I hope you have all enjoyed this.
Yes.
I'm going to be honest with you. This session has taken nothing from my notes. Nothing at all.
I was just thinking, did you expect us to
I'm
spend
not-
2 whole sessions in there?
I'm not saying that you haven't done anything worthwhile, but I'm genuinely not saying that. But I am just telling you that this is exactly like that other Call of Cthulhu session where the first thing on my notes was they go inside the house, and then you didn't go inside the house until the end of the session. This
Surely
is
you
one
must
of
have
those.
expected us to
Mhm.
prevaricate.
It's the next like session or two I'm really curious about, because what is going to happen when we go to see like the Augustus and Mendoza?
But to be honest, Mr. Farwell's first option when we left the university the first time was going to be, we should probably go tell Larkin straight away that people who are interested in this pyramid have died.
Yeah.
And that would be, and that's what I keep on saying. As soon as I just need to stop by my hotel very briefly before we do. But as soon as that's done, I just want to grab a change of clothes. I just need to change my shirt. Apart from that,
does anyone know a good jeweler?
Yeah. I think there's two ways of doing this. We either do that, or we just like disappear and then go on our own expedition.
We're going to the pyramid.
Of course we are.
Yeah, we
go without
tomorrow,
Augustus knowing we're going at all. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's one of those two things. We don't just.
We have our own separate expedition.
We don't continue normally. We either tell him or we go ourselves.
I mean, it's gone so well for the people that planned their own expeditions away from the Larkin ones already. So.
Are you saying you want to go with his expedition? Is that what you want to do, Jack?
Nobody on his. This could be happening in character, but nobody on his expedition has died yet.
Can I also say that, like, canonically, I'm going to tell Mrs. Farwell that we are going to return this gold bar when we get back. That's fine. Like, we're going to have that conversation.
Mrs. Farwell,
are you going to wink again at the end?
I would have had the same conversation with you. We're not stealing from them.
I mean, look, we're not stealing. We're not stealing. We're not stealing. I hope we get the opportunity to return it. I really do.
I know.
You're just borrowing it until you can get your own.
We're not.
If we get back to London, we'll just post it back.
Sorry.
I just want to. This conversation is relevant to this comment from earlier.
The Farwells famed worldwide for being fiscally sensible travellers.
Look, the trip basically pays for itself when you include all the stolen gold.
It was just when that was how Jonny introduced us for travelling together. I thought it stood out. But apparently, it didn't work.
Oh my goodness!
I am very pleased that the professor has been liberated.
Treated successfully.
I was so determined to try and keep him alive. Like Corporal did Inga's best session so far without here. That's terrible to say.
Thanks, Inga.
rolling session.
Yeah, things may have been different if you hadn't pushed to go in there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Any more questions or comments, John? I think you're in charge of them.
Steve had another suggestion for Mr. Farwell.
It did seem like it was going that way, like some way.
When I said to Wilfred, I was like, "Don't cause a fight."
It's not a
Fair.
fight.
You know what? Like,
he hits him on the back of the head, and it's just that.
No, it really isn't a fight. If you brain someone with a gold bar, that's not a fight. That's a murder.
Can you imagine if we had player character deaths from each other without any battles, just because we were fighting over gold?
Yeah, like most. Yeah, like which character? Like if I had to choose which character to kill, who would it be? Would it be the one person who speaks good Spanish?
Oh gosh.
And I like this one from 42.
There is simple explanation to these events. These people obviously went swimming in the sea and were attacked by cookie cutter sharks. Those sharks make very distinctive circular wounds. They failed to search out medical assistance and so died or are near death. The open wound in the sea allowed parasites into the professor's body. Absolutely logical explanation. Yeah. I don't know why anybody would ever think it was anything supernatural.
And Karasiri is probably what their local suspicious name is for cookie cutter sharks. I mean, they probably don't. Cookie cutter shark, do they? Makes sense.
Is that everything?
Yeah, that's everything, I think.
Cool. Thanks, John. Thanks, gang, for playing. Thanks, everybody, for watching. So this Thursday, the 15th, Delta Green episode 3 streaming. And then the next thing is 2 Mondays from now, Monday the 26th, will be the next episode of this, when you get to find out whatever the gang decide to do next with the information that they have. I too am interested to know how that's going to go. But yes, we'll find that out in 2 weeks. So thanks everybody, and we'll see you then. Bye-bye.